Let's start at the beginning. You had a very happy, loving childhood. You spent the first 10 or 11 years of your life as a Romany gypsy, and you were in the caravan. Now, society would paint that as somehow perhaps a sort of sad story, but for you it was a very happy one.
Well, it certainly wasn't sad. It was very loving, as you said. I had wonderful, wonderful parents, no longer with me, bless them, passed on. But we were bathed in love. I said to somebody recently, we may not have had High Street branded toys to play with, but we found a way of keeping ourselves active and happy. Yeah, so no, certainly not that. It was a happy childhood for me, although it wasn't schooling for me personally, but I was with my mum and dad always, and yeah, it was good.
And what was it about your childhood that was so happy? I mean, your parents, I guess, were around a lot of the time, and you had freedom.
Well, I was constantly with my dad. From obviously time I could remember, I was obviously in my mother's arms at some point, but from the age of 4 or 5 year old, I was away with my dad, and it was a wonderful life.
Yeah, and your dad was selling sort of metals.
He was a scrap metal trader, yeah, and he would take that wherever he went. You know, he had those skills, and yeah, it was fantastic. So my dad was a gambling man and drinking man, and the characters I met from no schooling, you know, I felt like I grew up very quick.
Yeah.
But it may look a bit, you know, from somebody else a bit maybe not glamorising, but it was a great childhood for me, you know.
And did you connect with the more sort of grounded aspects of society when you were growing up? I mean, did you have pals that went to school and that, you know, lived in houses and flats?
No, not for the first 10 or 11 years. We would meet children. One of our regular stay-in places during the summer months would be Portsmouth. And I remember meeting the kids. We would stay on some land and meet the kids from the flats and the houses nearby, and they would ask us, like, you know, things like, how do you manage to have a wash and a wee and a poo and all this? And I would say stuff like, but your dad gets up at that time every day and he has to be back at that time. So there were different worlds, but we used to play together and interact, and that was lovely. And we waved them off after the 3 or 4 week stay or the 6 week stay. So there was good memories, but there were different worlds. At that stage, I only knew one world. So the interaction was just here and there, really.
Yeah, and I mean, what was life like for those first 10 years? I mean, were you on the move? I think for most of the year you stayed in one place, right?
No, we were on the move because what had happened, whilst I'm a West Londoner, born and fairly bred, if you like, my grandparents had some land that they owned, but they were only licensed for 2 caravans, so my dad couldn't get on there, so we sort of stayed around nearby to where my grandparents was. And then my gran was widowed in 1968. She went to the famous Epsom Downs racing, quite a traditional place for Romany gypsies, and she got a puncture on the way back, and that was in Epsom town. And she so happened to, all my family are now settled and residing in houses and on a permanent site in Epsom. So for me it was, we flit around between Epsom and Hounslow, and that was about, but so really we were still nomadic, but nomadic locally, if you like. Yeah. And we only got settlement in our house when my dad's family grew to an extension where, you know, we could no longer, he needed some settlement.
And was that after about 10 or 11 years?
Yeah. Well,
and how was that transition to being in bricks and mortar?
I was strange. I remember we do all these crazy things in life, but we weren't nervous. Me and my brothers and sisters were scared to walk upstairs in the house. Wow. It was strange initially, you know. It's not anymore, of course, but it was.
Well, did it feel like you were kind of at a great height looking down?
No, we just didn't know what was up there.
Really?
You know, it was really
the
that alien. It was the unknown. It was that alien. It didn't take us too long to adapt, but
yeah. And did you miss that itinerant life? I mean, did it suddenly feel very boring being stuck in one place?
Well, no, not really, because we were round the corner from my grandparents, and we're still in touch doing the things. Yeah. And we'd still do some travelling in the summer months. So my dad was still like off for a month or so. So we stayed in touch with the nomadic side of things, if you like. Yeah. But we had then a settlement, so no, we didn't really miss it too much.
And when you were a little boy and a travelling Romany gypsy, take me through a classic day, because there's no sort of school holidays or term time. Probably not too much of a difference between a weekday or the weekends. So take me through the day. Let's imagine you're 8 or 9 years of age. You wake up early. Did your dad get you up early?
Yeah, the dad was always a working man. You know, as I say, he was a drinking man, gambling man, but he had to fund that, you know, and feed us guys, which he did.
What age were you recruited into the firm?
I've literally done physical work since 7 years of age. literally. My dad obviously would give me some safe job to do to get me in the way of working. But I've literally worked since I've been 7 years of age. But a typical day would be, say from 7, 8, 9 years of age, up in the morning, work with Dad. So, you know, he'd see his regular customers, if you like, or tout them for some business, if you like, yeah. So we'd load that up and, you know, he'd do his trading, get a bit in the middle, and then I'll be back. Dad might have his couple afternoon jars, and we'd be back home. I'll be playing with the kids, practicing some golf or practicing some boxing, you know, a bit like that, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is obviously the big aspect of your life is sport, as well as, you know, the aspects of your childhood that are detailed in, you know, with wonderful nostalgia in the book. So let's talk about how you got involved in golf.
Yeah, so my grandfather, my dad's dad, he was an ex-professional boxer, and he needed a substitute for his sport when, you know, when the curtain come down through age, father time, and he went into golf. And I would pull his trolley from about 6, 7 years of age, and I would nick a ball out the top of his bag, let him walk down some 70, 80 yards, put it on a tee and give it a whack. And I was doing it with great regularity, and they would then turn, so where's this ball come from? Ask my little grandson, right? And really, can he do that? Yeah, he can do that with regularity. So they allowed me to play the par threes, and I was encouraged into golf. You know, from there on, I just loved it. I couldn't get enough of it.
And what was it about golf that you enjoyed so much? Was it a different world? Because, I mean, you were suddenly in some of these rather nice golf clubs. Was it a sort of different world in which to move around? And
yeah, I mean, it was. Felt like we were treading eggshells a bit. It was a bit. We were on tenterhooks a bit, if the right word, maybe. They were posh, nice places, and, you know, with nice dress codes and all that. And they were a little bit alien to us, a bit out of our area, if you like. But we soon adapted. You know, I mean, as I went through the ranks, of course, there was commonplace for me. But initially, very much so.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you did so well as a youngster. You were the club champion. You achieved the course record, Grand Challenge Cup, London Junior Open winner. I think you were presented with a trophy by the Prime Minister's husband at the time, Dennis Thatcher.
Correct, yeah.
So what age would you have been when you won the London Junior Open?
I would have been right at the very age of 15, 16. It was in July of 87, so I think I was just on my 16th birthday.
Yeah. So you've had a good 10, 11 years with your family. Then you've got into golf, introduced to that by your dear, much-loved and missed grandfather.
Yeah.
It's all going swimmingly, but just at the point where you win that wonderful trophy, it all goes horribly wrong.
Yeah. I was playing away in Hampshire, Basingstoke. I won a Junior Open there. And at the presentation, my dad was given a £3 or £4 bar bill for some sandwiches, which me and my playing partners had given him at the halfway break. You know, we got those sandwiches included in our entry. So we thought they were ours. We'd finished them, given them to my dad and my brother. Waste not, want not type thing.
Absolutely.
So in principle, my dad refused to pay it, and there was an hearing at the golf club, and then they manufactured so many lies. You bear in mind, this dispute's with my dad, not with me.
Yeah.
You know, even, you know, I think my dad's 1,000,000% not guilty of doing any wrongdoing, but...
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is the beef should have been with him if there was any beef, yeah? But they put it to me, manufactured loads of lies, and asked me for my resignation in a golf club. I said, resignation? What does that mean? I didn't even know...
You did not know the word resignation?
Didn't even know. I was so young and naive to these committees and places. I didn't even know the word resignation, honestly.
Yeah.
And I come out of the place in tears, and it was a train wreck in the nicest way, it wasn't for the right word, but it was a train wreck for my career. It was a complete derailment.
And by the way, I mean, this was prejudice, wasn't it, against perhaps your background? Because I know that for one of these particular championships that you won, the BBC, I think, or some journalists were present.
That's right.
And they made it a really good news story about your talents and about your background.
Yeah.
And then rightly, they spotted a great story.
Yeah.
And perhaps this was used against you too, essentially prejudice against being a Romany gypsy.
Well, it transpired, it became factual. I could quickly tell you why it became fact. You could have begged to differ and found other areas maybe why it happened, but I'll tell you why it was factual. My friend and sidekick at the time that I used to play and practice with was a guy called Andreas Kikidas. And when I left the golf club, was asked to, I basically kicked out, his friend that then became his sidekick was a policeman's son. They got caught stealing out the pro shop. It wasn't Andreas, it was the policeman's son, but he was done by association. But the policeman's son had got a 6-month suspension for stealing out the head pro shop. I mean, this is the guy that you should look up to. He's your governor in that field. And then Len Roberts, a professional, a really well-respected PGA professional, and a man I really looked up to, he was seemed to have really going out of his, raising his voice and saying, where is the justice? The 16-year-old gypsy lad, yeah, who would have taken a tea too many, would have told me the policeman's son comes and nicks from my shop, yeah, and gets a 6-month suspension. 6 months, he's back. Where's my gypsy friend? Where's the Romany gypsy lad?
Yeah.
Gone forever. So, you know, it was quite a painful situation at that time.
Well, I think it's incredible that you came through it. There is a lot of injustice, but it's mainly you sort of triumphing over all of that negativity, that prejudice.
Yep.
And you're the man you are now, very successful entrepreneur,
yep.
Happy family in your own right. You're not on the move, you're not in a caravan. You're still going up that staircase.
I've got up the staircase, yeah.
Still entering the unknown.
Yeah, unknown, yeah.
But look, briefly, with the time against us, you have had this amazing story, but it wasn't all smooth and plain sailing, was it? I mean, not just your expulsion from this golf club, which was a big setback, but you got involved in bare-knuckle fighting, which I guess is a very traditional sport. We shouldn't be too judgmental about it, but it's a rough sport, isn't it? I think you started fighting when you were quite young, 7 or 8.
6, 7,
6.
yeah. 6,
you were
7,
very
yeah.
good at it, right? You won a lot of fights.
Yeah, well, I won my fights. So I was, you know...
But it wasn't really your scene, was it? And I know when you got into it when you were older, in your teens, it's not exactly a happy time, I don't think.
Well, it wasn't so much the knuckle fighting was quite fair, but it was when I won the knuckle fights, people would start to massage your ego and big you up, and then you're into other areas from it. So it wasn't the actual fighting, because although it's brutal to some people, if it's within you to do and you both agree, it's maybe not so brutal, right? Okay, but it's the things that the branches that lead from it,
and all the politics around it, right? And lots of Don Kings start popping up, and you're being used and exploited, and
exactly.
you talked about people being nice to you, but it's fake.
Exactly, and it's exactly, and then suddenly, and it's we have an heavier firm than you, and we got him on his on our firm and all that stuff, and that was really, really crap. And that's I really. I can't change that, but that's the message I'd like to get out there for these youngsters. Please don't go down that road, because that really wasn't pleasant. It never was, and it never will be. Yeah, so that was a bit of a bumpy road.
Bare knuckle fighting, I mean, this is fighting with no gloves,
no gloves, no gum shield, no bandage in my days.
So, tell me about the injuries.
Well, broken bones in your hands and cuts and things, but
really,
but it's part and parcel of, you know, you're in the lion's den. That's what you expected.
You're in the lion's den, okay. And then obviously you got all through that. There was a bit of crime, but it was not, you know, it wasn't sort of crime against individuals. You were, you know, sort of, it was an inevitable sort of perhaps consequence of the things that happened to you in your teens. But here you are now. Tell me about today. I mean, the book's out. You're a published author, and you're back in your father's business. Making money.
We're making a living, thank God. You know, we go to work, we work hard, we make a little bit in the middle, and we're still an ambitious golfer. And I've been very, very fortunate to have seen. Now I'm sitting right on the fence, and I can see both sides Romany life in mainstream, and I love it. And as you rightly said earlier, I've had a bit of prejudice towards, but you know, look, they're just like a knock in the bruise from a knuckle fight. You get up, you dust yourself down, you go, and I've got so many friends from both sides. Example, if I had a party of 200-300 people, I'd have 150 non-Romany, 150 Romany. So I just got friends from everywhere. It's been a great life, really.
I've been in the presence of greatness.
Thank you very much.
And it's great to shake the hand that's been in so many bare-knuckle fights.
Thanks, kindly, Mark.
You could dust me off in a couple of seconds, if we're honest.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.